So let's look at a marketing site now. And the initial analysis of the site needs to determine the site's goals. As a marketing site, it seems this goal, the goal of this site, and this is Herman Cain, who was ran for president in 2012. He's a right-wing conservative. It would appear that his goal should be to try to persuade maybe people who are slightly left of center to go slightly right of center. Instead, it appears the content here is driven specifically for hardline right-wingers. Now, I'm neither right-wing nor left-wing, especially when I'm viewing user experience things, when I'm doing analysis. You have to put those things on the side and just ask, is he achieving what he more than likely needs to achieve? And when we look at this, just from the types of articles, we see extremely slanted to the right, with very little chance of swaying anyone from the left of center. Now, is it possible that he could be persuading people right of center toward more right? Possibly. However, the amount of bias in the types of stories dictated on this site are so to the right that I don't know how effective it would be. The only way we could test that is to get people based on their political foundations and see if they move the slightest bit. But as a user experience or information architecture person, perhaps a little less bias content would achieve his target goal better. That said, and that can be the initial part of my analysis, for example, this article right here, with all the publicity pertaining to the Obamacare website and its lack of functionality, this is sending less than professional message from this entity, referring to the 22-year-old dudes who probably are actually savvy web programmers. But after we get into our analysis of whether they've achieved their goals, then we could focus on usability and design. And in this case, we see their links that are on the far lower right, which for a right-handed person is not necessarily a violation of Fitz's law, but a little tougher to get to. This tells me that these things are ads, mimicking that they are actual links. So, well, someone has to pay the bills. This, as far as usability, is a problem. We need to clearly differentiate those between those that are ads and those that are not. And here you see heavy ad space all the way on the right side. So what they're doing is catering to the user that's not willing to read much by having bulleted points and then linking to the main story. The writing is somewhat remedial, and we can tell that just from our headlines here. They do use good use of real estate. However, one would like to see pagination on this bottom. So overall, the design is not bad, and I can only assume that they did user testing, and maybe that user testing was to achieve a different goal than what my perception is. But if I were hired to do a case study analysis of this, I would firmly try to grasp what their target market is, and if they say anything other than hardline right-wingers, then they're missing their market. So one other thing I found about the Herman Cain site is that its 404 page was actually witty and sort of away from the remedial part of that other web page. This is a 404 page, which is what you see when you get linked to a page that no longer exists. And it reads like an Obama policy. This 404 page gets you nowhere. So this I would give them credit on for their user experience. It's funny, it doesn't annoy me, and that can happen with when you have a dead link or when you go to the wrong place. So kudos on that. But again, our analysis starts with, do they achieve their goals?